Yay! Okay. So it's just a matter now of getting the Okay. Welcome, Jason. You're first. Let me give people the address here. There we go. Jeff's coming in. Good. Okay. There we go.
Hello?
I hear noises. There we go. All right, so I'm going to hand this out to folks, and hopefully this will get us going. All right, see if this will bring everybody in. We can hope, right? Okay, so presenters, as we're waiting for viewers to come in. Hey.
Hello.
So what we'll do is we'll do kind of standard presentation etiquette. Mute yourself out until it's your turn to go, or until we engage in conversation and things like that. We'll have the other folks do the chatting. I don't see them here yet, but I think we'll see them momentarily. I'll make sure that the YouTube is up and running, and make sure that they have that link. They should be able to chat with us live with that one, which will be great. Make sure. I'm good. Okay, I'll give them this link specifically. Oh. Good. And anybody who wants to watch it, I'm super sad that that we don't actually get to. Hey, we've got one viewer. Welcome, one viewer. Because we have so many people in our group, we can't have everybody in on the thing. But so presenters, basically what we'll do is we'll just turn the time over to you. You can screen share and just bring up your slides, and we'll do that. If it really is going to be impractical for us to have you go because there are big pieces you want to show us, or specific things that this doesn't allow us to do, then we simply punt on yours and we move it to a time where it'll be more effective. I know that we definitely want to do that with D-Man's, with Steve's stuff, because it's such a beautiful walkthrough. We don't want to miss it. I'm super sad because I had builds for each of you, with the exception of Dave. I had builds for each of you that were unique to your presentation with props and things like that. We can still explore those. We just can't until Second Life gets their servers figured out. I think that they're under a cyber attack. It's kind of behaving like that with intermittent service, And it's not just Second Life that's going down, it's also the Second Life website and the marketplace servers that are going down. So it's kind of behaving like a cyber attack, and they're not reporting anything. So if you can't get to those websites, something's up. Okay. So we've got 9 viewers. That's good. I'm gonna just really quickly jump and give this other email. I think we've got it here. Just so this link. Just quick send that out as an announcement, and we'll see what we get. So my plan this evening was to have B go first. Are you in the room? B, let me just double check here. No, we don't have B yet in the room. Make sure that the group chat is on for all of us to chat in. Viewers, go ahead, and I realize there's a delay from what I say and what you hear. But viewers, go ahead and just chat in the chat. Leave some comments, and we'll check them there. So if there is somebody who would volunteer to go first, who feels like they've got their stuff in as close a
I can do that.
collection. Okay, if you want to take over, then I will introduce you. You're the only person wearing a tie.
I know. I've been
So
stuck in it all day.
You must be serious.
Yeah. Yep. I dressed up for the presentation.
You're so good. Even though we were going to be in Second Life completely, you were going to wear a tie because it makes
it's the same principle as Steve Jobs wanting to make sure the inside of his computer's circuit board was perfect.
Yeah.
No one else would see it, but he would. He'd know it.
He'd know it. That's true. All right, so we'll hand it off to you, and use your screen share tool and let us see some slides if you can, and we'll just go from here. We're excited to hear what you're working on.
Are we going to start right now?
And I'll count it down in.
All right. Had a couple pop-ups there. Excuse me. I'm going to put this into full screen mode, the presentation mode. If someone would, let me know if you can see that, because it covers out my Google Plus or Google Hangout window. Can you see? Would you like to play the Google game? Would someone chime in on that with their voice?
We saw it a moment ago, and then you changed something, and it went away again.
Okay.
Now we see you. I mean, you're
Okay.
beautiful. Don't get us wrong.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to upload. I'm going to open the Google Drive app, and I'm just going to open up my presentation within Google Hangouts. Here we go. All right, is everybody seeing that? I know it's not in presentation mode right now, but can you see that?
Yeah, that's working.
Okay.
Okay.
And if you don't mind, simply so I don't take up too much unnecessary time, I'm just going to leave it in this mode here rather than putting it in presentation mode. I'm not sure how to do that within the Drive app. But this past fall, I was contacted by a school district in Idaho asking if I would be willing to come and teach their staff about Google Apps for Education. This school district, the Blaine County School District, had recently made the transition to using Google Apps for Education. However, very few, if any, of their teachers had any idea what the possibilities and the potential for streamlining their workflow would be. And so I was invited out to a 2-day professional development conference, having been given the task of creating some sort of engaging immersive learning experience to teach them about all of these apps in increments of 3-hour sessions. And to do that, I decided I was going to create a game. And this game is hosted on Google+. I called it, Would You Like to Play the Google Game? Now, what I did is incorporated different game-based elements, for instance, a badging system, leveling up, into a community on Google+. This is available for anybody to go participate in. It was designed specifically for this school district, but I suppose you could call it open source now. And on the left here you see a screenshot welcoming players into the Google game. You can read that at your leisure, but this game was developed to meet the needs of the school district. Like I had mentioned before, in excuse me, in an engaging, game-based manner. This is a screenshot of the left-hand toolbar, and you'll notice after Welcome to the Google Game, which is the page that I had the explanation for how to play the actual game, you will see different tabs for different Google apps that I was going to, or that I introduced staff to. Now, the idea behind this was that individual learners were going to be able to choose where they began. They could learn about Google+, or they could learn about Gmail, or Calendar, or Search, or Drive, and so forth, and they could spend as much time or as little time on each of those as they would like, with the intention of getting through as many of those levels as possible while they had the support of a facilitator and their colleagues around them. Now you can see down here we had 78, I believe there were about 80 people that played this game, and you'll find out the results of how individual teachers experience success a little bit later in this presentation. But what I really wanted to do with this game was not force everybody to get to the winning objective, so to speak, at the same time. And to do that, I opened up this game to potentially complete in the 3-hour time frame that we had. However, each taking into consideration the different learning preferences and learning styles of each participant, they all were made aware that if they didn't finish this, if they didn't finish this in the time that we had allotted, they could go back and complete this game on their own time simply by logging into this Google Plus community, whether it be that day, that week, that month, or next school year. So in addition to creating a professional development game, I also use this and I guess created a professional learning network for the school district, a place where teachers could get together and connect over Google Apps for Education, but also hopefully establish an online PLC, or an online professional learning team together. And I did create actual badges.
You did?
Yep.
Quick question for you. Will you share with us in the chat the link to your Google presentation?
To the presentation?
Yeah, to your Google,
Yep.
yeah, your Google and then people can advance slides themselves. They're having a difficult time seeing it. It did not load for some folks, so.
Oh, okay.
This is just our plan B.
Yeah, I apologize about that. Thanks for letting me know. And there it is. It is public on the web, so everybody should be able to view that. But here's a picture of the badging system that I created. I designed this on Microsoft, on the Avery Labels website, and there were different fun names: Google Ninja, Gmail Wizard, Calendar. I think it was Calvary is what I had. And as each participant leveled up, they were able to collect those badges to show their mastery of a new Google Apps for Education skill, which was a cheesy way to engage adults and make professional development a lighthearted, fun time. Here's a screenshot of what the Gmail level looks like. So in Google Plus communities, at least at the time that I created this, new posts would post in reverse chronological order. So down here I had Gmail Challenge 1, Gmail Challenge 2, Challenge 3, and then at the end of each level, I had participants level up and collect their badge, and all they were doing here is filling out a Google form that would show that they had interacted with the content, that they had become familiar with the content, but also show them how easy it was to collect data by using a Google form. I had the Google form, or the results page, the spreadsheet, I suppose, pulled up on a screen that people could see their progress at the same time that they were continuing through the game, which was really fun for me. I think it was a really good motivating factor for the participants in the class as well. But at each stage, rather than just consuming content, reading about the different apps, watching videos about the different apps, participants actually engaged in using those Google Apps for Education to create some sort of content. So on the left-hand side of the screen here, you can see Paul Zimmerman's blog post as part of this game when he was on the blogger level, which was considered to be the boss level. He created his blog, and he posted a blog post about his experience in the professional development session that day. And as I say down here, as opposed to the sole victor of some game designs, Google game players are encouraged to work together in a social learning framework. So as they post the content that they create into the different levels on the Google game, different participants can see that. They can go and view the content if it's possible. They can interact with it, and also comment on it, share social feedback, constructive feedback as well. Now, as I had said before, about 80 entered. There were 4 people who mastered the Google game and became Google Apps for Education champions over that 2-day course. And here's a picture of each of them brandishing their badges with a very proud smile across their face. But the really cool thing is that afterwards, when the formal gameplay was over, the professional development conference had ended, I would still get notifications about people going and engaging in the different levels in the Google game. And surprisingly, even as recently as last week, have seen activity in complete strangers who do not belong to the district this was created for, engaging in the Google game and entering the game-based world of Google Apps for Education to develop a new skill to apply in their professional practice as well. And that is my conclusion. If there are any questions, please put them in the chat, or Professor Haskell, go ahead and chime in.
Excellent. So as we're navigating all of these windows, we're getting better at this. This is the good news, is that it's actually getting a little bit smoother. And Dave gets double bonus because he went first today in our punt zombie apocalypse presentation format here. So, which is good. And I do have a question that I'm going to throw in chat here in a moment relative to the zombie apocalypse. But until then, let me just throw it in there. Good. You'll notice the link. I put it in the chat here as part of our thing, but it did not come through. I see Jeff and Jason are throwing comments in here. No one else evidently is able to make comments in this group chat here. Everyone else is doing it in the event link, which I will. Here,
yeah, that's a great idea.
So it took me a second here. Let me give the event link to our presenters, which I just did, and now we see everybody here. Okay, Nicole's got it. Very cool. Now they can see your presentation. So I'd like to kick off questions here a little bit, because I think even though we're we got a late start with those who are presenting tonight, I think we've got some time to really have conversation here, offer feedback, and maybe answer some of the questions and thoughts that you might have. And B, just so you know, I invited you as a participant to this as well. I'll send you another invite, but I think you've got one waiting as an invite as a presenter. So just so you know it's out there. I noticed that you're not yet in the presenter group and it's just a link you'll click on and it'll add you, and then you'll be able to present with us. No, but my question to Dave is, you alluded to this idea of adults and trying to find ways to, I'm going to paraphrase, get them to be playful.
Mm-hmm.
So as your game is one that's not just conceptual, it's one that you built and launched, what was your experience with the playfulness of adults?
Well, it was very interesting because the audience that came to these sessions ranged from kindergarten teachers up through the superintendent himself, and naturally there were a lot of people, the 4 winners particularly, who took to this very quickly and exercised the curiosity and the initiative necessary to be able to thrive in a professional development situation like this. However, there was also one lady in particular who came to the very first of the 4 sessions, and she threw a fit because it was just so far out of her comfort zone. You know, she didn't understand how to log on and create a Google account, let alone get into Google Plus and navigate a community. And the interesting thing about her is that in that first session, she got so upset and so frustrated that she made quite a scene and left. However, on the very last session, she decided to come back. I have no idea what happened, but she came back with an entirely different attitude about learning and about playing the game, and she did quite well on that second go-round. And so I think that there was a spectrum of engagement of those that were thinking that this is really far out of their comfort zone, and those that really took off with it. But there was a lot of chatter, a lot of interaction. Nobody was really off task, even if being on task meant trying to struggle in figuring out how to set up a Google account itself.
Bill is giving you credit and props, because evidently that's what the kids say, for the gamification aspect in a professional learning community. And professional learning communities are pretty stratified quite often. Mm-hmm. And you describe something that I've seen a number of times, which is that rage quit of a of a professional learning experience. And
yeah.
I've seen it before too, and it happens. It's when overload and embarrassment take over, and
yep.
and it's not age related necessarily, but it's experience related, and there are certain populations that have more experience with this type of approach, or more experience with failing and being in an environment where it's okay to fail. And I wonder if that's not part of how you situate a game like this to the benefit of others, is creating that safe to fail environment. And for some, failing in front of your peers is as unpleasant as it gets.
Yeah.
But I wonder if communities of gamers, especially teenagers, I think of the Pew Research 13 to 17 zone, and their game use is so pervasive that failing in front of your peers has to happen regularly. That there may be a digital cultural allowance for that type of thing.
And something that I wanted to set up and think I did a very good job of creating in this was the ability to go as deep into each Google app as participants wanted to, whether that was completing all 3 challenges. Something I forgot to mention, each level had 3 challenges, so 18 or 21 total. Participants, if they wanted to master the game, would complete all 18 challenges, but there are some that may have not been as interested in Calendar as maybe they were in Gmail, and so they completed the 3 in Gmail, completed 1 in Calendar, or got just enough information to be comfortable with it and moved on, and that was entirely okay. It allowed them to create their own narrative for the professional development experience by choosing their own learning path.
And can you give us the sample size of this group? How big was the group?
So there were 4 different sessions that I taught this in, the same thing each time, and each session had about 25 to 30 people in them.
And I'll invite the other presenters who have open mics to jump in and throw in questions as well. While you're considering what you might add or what questions you might ask, I'll point out that Nora says, "Well done," first of all. And did you do any later evaluations to find out how the teachers were using Google in their classes and students?
Not directly as a result of the Google game, but I was invited out to this school district last month to present on digital citizenship again, and it was very promising that the attendees there all brought their Chromebooks from their classroom, and were able to log on, were able to use the resources that I had asked them to use with relative ease. So though that was a small sample size, that school district is doing a great job of supporting continued learning of Google tools in the classroom.
That's very cool. Bill reminds us that he is practicing regularly the art of failure, but not always on purpose. But notes that it's an integral part of learning. And Tracy asks, how much, if any, did the participants team up to work on the challenges?
That's a great question. The majority, I would say, even if it was a slight majority, would team up, often in partners, pairs. There were a slight few who decided that they wanted to go off and conquer this on their own. Interestingly, the ones who completed all of the levels, the entire game, in the 3 hours, they were all lone wolves playing this game. And so I'm not sure if that speaks to their confidence coming into the experience, or perhaps the game is structured to be a little more supportive of that unintentionally. But I would say that the vast majority, I had said small majority earlier, as I'm thinking back, I would say that at least 70% of the people in these sessions would partner up. And it was great because you had partners who were familiar with this, partners who weren't, partners who were just willing to be a little bit more brave and would adopt that leadership role in a pair of people who were quite ignorant to the concept. So they got to go and investigate and explore together.
Well, that is really cool. Questions or thoughts from the presenter group?
Hi, can I be heard?
Of course.
Great. One of my thoughts, I saw the website Quirky today, which is a fantastic creative group that's developing all sorts of products from regular people. And they call failure critical. So I thought that was a really cool addition to your game.
Thank you.
That element.
And right now I am I'm posting the link to the community. If anyone would like to even just go in and view it more in depth, or even play it at your own leisure, I'm posting that right now.
Very cool. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have B in our presenter group. Welcome. He gives us the thumbs up. Charles, would you like to go next, or would you prefer to wait until later? Your choice entirely.
No, I'm good to go. So
Do you want to try sharing screen with us and see if you can get it to work?
Well, why don't I see? I'm just going to post the link here.
Oh, even better.
So hopefully that's coming through right now. Did that show up for people?
Yes, it did. It is in the Google Plus chat, and I believe I sent out that link just a few moments ago via email. So if there's anybody, we've got 18 viewing right now. Yeah, it looks like we've got everybody viewing this. Okay. So if clicking on it takes you away from the Hangout, then right click on it and copy the link location or copy the link address and open it in a new window.
Yeah, this should bring everyone to YouTube. It's a 6-minute and 20-second or so screencast. So probably the best way to go forward would be to
You know what?
go to
I
YouTube.
might actually be able to show this in our presentation here.
No, perfect.
I'm going to try. And can everybody see that?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Okay, so I found it. And so I've got the video. And what do I need to do to push it live? That's the only question I have. I should be able to just play it live for everybody, but you can't see it yet. You guys can't see that yet?
I can't, not yet.
Okay, well, we'll go with your original thought here, which was to just to watch it independently, and then we'll return to the group.
Sounds good. So we'll see everyone back here in just over 6 minutes. Hello, everyone from the community. Thank you for following me. This game is fairly narrowly focused. It's a very simple game, and that's clear the risk of nevertheless, the goal is to create a game that can be developed by so the critical thinking foundation broke down critical thinking standards elements that we felt are really good at identifying how to break down have particular habits. So I wanted to develop a game around that. Okay, so this is the game phase, and what I want to actually create have background skills called background. So players along, and the ultimate goal is to be the first player to think. So the first player to land on the thinker by rolling the exact game. So that's the basic goal. We can look at some game components. We have the player who start here, and they will roll the dice, and that will let the player know which number of states. There are two other dice, and they interact with. In terms of other components, there's basically three different types of landing stages. One is a graph piece, another one is a geyser. So geyser is a piece where the player will have to click. Another one is lava. And there's a stock piece. only one item that players collect, and that's ability badges, and that and that's one. Like all board games, digital or otherwise, there's a set of and those are outlined players. So if the player, let's start with the orange. If the player rolls and lands on a grass, then that player simply stays at that altitude or turn. However, there is an element that can't roll again, and above each of the grass pieces is a word element. The player can then roll the dice. Using the lucky rolling themselves. And if the player were to roll the dice and match the keywords for their first time, right, then that player gets to roll the number dice. Okay, so that is landing on grass. If the player rolls dice and lands on Socrates, then that player can click on the marker here, and that brings the player to another page. And there's a challenge. So, to which standard or element of Socrates question is directed? This is the skill portion, and there's 3 sets of questions. The player then has to identify what is the. Hello, everyone from the group here. Thank you for following the link. And I thought I'd show my game doing actions to show some context rather than simply speaking about it. So this game is fairly narrowly focused to a very specific student audience, and that created the risk of chocolate and broccoli. But nevertheless, my goal was to create a game around the ideas developed by the Critical Thinking Foundation. So the Critical Thinking Foundation broke down critical thinking into standards and elements and dispositions that we felt are really good at identifying how to break thinking down and how to measure thinking and how to have particular habits. Thanks, David. Do we have very many people back? I can't, I'm just going back and forth between the 2 screens here.
I think I muted you out accidentally. Are you back?
I'm here. Can people hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, great.
I think everybody's done now. I did hear audio coming through somebody's that put somebody about a minute behind, but we're
Right.
7.5 minutes in from when we said go. But so what I'll do is I'll continue to kind of moderate comments as they're coming through the board, and you can chat with them too. We're getting lots of very cools and very creatives. You know, very cool looking game. The lava would totally eat me up.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, this game was made for students who had some background in a particular course. So that was one of my big questions is did I want to make a game that was limited to a really specific audience? And in this case, I thought it was kind of a fun and appropriate way to go through some critical thinking standards and elements and dispositions for kids that I work with.
So, question for you now. I have seen, and I'm sure it's the same organization, foundation, because as soon as I saw it, I connected the two. Basically, a booklet, very small little booklet, maybe just larger than a wallet, for example, that had much of this critical thinking pedagogy in there. And what triggered it for me was your visual in the video on the wheel, on the parts of critical thinking. And is critical pedagogy in that description, or am I implanting some other memory over the top of it?
I think you're probably right. My colleagues and I stumbled upon this when we were doing research on critical thinking, because I think for a lot of schools, it's just people think of it as the top 3 levels of Bloom's, whether it's the original or the new taxonomy, and they have so the Critical Thinking Foundation has little pamphlets, and they have lower level language booklets for kids, all the way up to 300-400 page textbooks for university students. So there's a scope and sequence involved with that, which is one of the reasons we found it appealing.
So one of the things that you describe in there, and I don't know that everyone connects with it, is that you've decided to use primarily as your game board the Smartboard Notepad software tool, which would be a physical in-classroom drag and drop kind of thing, and you place, for lack of a better way of describing it, a Candyland style board over the top of it, right? A roll. I mean, you're using some of the embedded media objects in there where they walk up and they type. I mean, they would be physically around this, or they would be using it on a computer where they could click on it.
Yeah, so there's 2 ways that they would use it. One is on a smartboard or a smart table, and then the other one is I just load it into our school's LMS, and kids can just bring it up on their own computers and play on their own, or hopefully with a partner or a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
So I ideally would have liked to build an online game, but I'm not quite sure how to do that yet. And with Sploder, I found there's kind of one thing on the side where I can't really show it with kids, just there's one image of breasts expanding and contracting. So for my school, that kind of became a limitation, so I couldn't use that to build games.
The ability to embed certain objects, without its original web page is a possibility with that, but at the same time, you may not be able to get to the exact point that you want with this game, which is, a thoughtful pause on each of these elements, and a consequence when they don't achieve what you wanted from that interaction, which could be gamed or even worked around potentially in Sploder. But the idea of a platformer where you're dealing with these different things is still a very cool one and very possible.
Yeah, thanks. And I wanted to add some aspect of chance, and that's with the rolling of the bottom 2 dice for different points, and then some element of skill. So I tried to combine the 2 elements.
B asked a really good question. What's the age group again? Did you target with this game?
Yeah, this is 7th grade students. So
wow,
yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can go back and forth and see questions here.
Well, let me try to feed you some.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Lots of praise. But we'll just put all of that into one category that says you're super creative and very cool.
Thank you.
I know these people are nice.
It's a nice team. Actually, it's really neat to see pictures of people that,
I know.
I've met before and didn't realize I was in a class with that person.
You're like,
So,
oh, okay.
Yeah, that's you. Oh, hey, Steve. Go Blackhawks. So, if I recall correctly. All right, so shall I pass the stage over to the next presenter?
Yeah, I did have one other question related to this. You know, I mean, you have the opportunity to introduce them to this idea through a game, and but it's a pretty complex one. It's one that doesn't easily assess and then allow use in perpetuity necessarily. It's something you need to revisit, and then you're constantly comparing this against situations and products and outputs and things. I guess it's not a cloak that you put on and then just move forward with. So, in using this game, do you see it as a revisited tool? Do you see it as an introductory tool? Where do you place it in the hierarchy of the curriculum related to teaching critical thinking?
Right, good question. Definitely not an introductory tool. I think that would be adding a whole lot more of an element of chance. So what we have done is our students have a regular skills class, so it's not related to subject curriculum, and it's once a day, 4 times a week. And so what we've done is we've been doing object lessons and all sorts of activities to do domain general critical thinking skills. And then the goal is to then try to create some transfer with that by parachuting them into the subject area courses. So we're just piloting this as an idea to see if this is the answer to developing the whole idea of 21st century learning with critical thinking, and creativity is another one we'd like to try as well. So I guess to answer the question, this would be a refresher, something just to re-engage with the content and not lose sight of some of the different standards and elements and dispositions. And I think this would be an idea where it would build on itself year by year by year, because it does gain a lot more complexity as a scope and sequence.
Yeah. Well, and let me throw this out there too as commentary to everyone. It's often that we'll find that we build out an original version of the game. Honestly, this class is no different than any of the games that you have developed, where you have an interaction that you want to create, an experience you want to create, and you want to make it playful, and you want to make it game-like, and you decide which of those elements that you're going to bring in, right? And they're all along this scale, as we kind of looked at scales earlier. But in each of those opportunities, we find that if we give students a voice in the rewriting, the redevelopment, the changing of rules, that it becomes something far more valuable than we may have envisioned in the beginning. And there are times where we have to kind of push back and say, well, if we do that, then we lose this, cost-benefit analysis on the fly. But I would encourage you and everyone that once you drop the first iteration of this game, you ask the question, okay, now what? What do we do? How do we make it better? And we find that we really have just a lion's share of little experts, or if we teach adults, big experts who are willing to jump in and make it better. So you have in front of you that group that will make this fit their needs and interests while still meeting your desires. In fact, often they'll take it so much further than we even imagined. So,
sure, they could have students create the next level of the game as well. That would be something they could do. Yeah,
that'd be very cool. All right, well, we're gonna jump in and have Jason go next. You want to test your mic? Say, hey, there he is. And we don't have sound yet. Maybe because did I mute you? I think I may have muted you. Oh, now you're back. You're not currently muted, but we still don't hear you. So what Jason is going to do is, instead of speak, he's going to dance and act out all of what he has. It's going to be interpretive. Yes. Go Madonna on us. All right. Excellent. D-Man agrees. And this happens from time to time. Headphones and such things. He's pantomiming. So, in the interim, Jeff, are you ready to go? Could you jump in while he works on that?
You know, it's really fitting listening to Dave's presentation before. This is the first time I've ever used Google Hangout, so this is all really, really new to me. So I think to save everybody some time, I better just hold off until the next time.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, and I've been continuing to try to get into Second Life, you know, every 5 minutes or so as we move along here. And thank you to all the presenters, because there was no real expectation that you were going to have your face on camera today. I should have given everybody. I mean, Dave's always got good hair, but it was you know, it was unfair to ask everyone to look their absolute best on such short notice. I saw something a second ago, Jason. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. He could be swearing at the screen, and we just don't know. Those are pretty earphones. Okay, so well, let me jump into the comments here real quick.
I think I fixed it.
What?
Ha
Fabulous.
All right. I was not swearing at the screen, but it was getting close.
You'll never convince us otherwise.
So what I'll try to do is I did a slide share, and so I'll post that in the Google Hangout. But I'm also going to try to do a screen share right through Google Plus as well.
Okay, that would be great.
We'll see if we can get that to work.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice for the video that will be created after the fact for this. Honestly, if we knew we were going to do presentations in Google Hangouts a week ago, we would have put together media ahead of time and built. You know, I'm really prepared everybody for a nice, fluid, clean, professional. I can see eternity presentation, but because we had to. I mean, this is just a response. I'm really pleased actually that everybody. That we have so many people, and we're really actually getting connected. It's a miracle of modern technology, especially when other technology fails. Because I mean, literally, 3 years ago, we probably would have had to bail completely. So, it's all you. And what's super sad to me is I sent you pictures of where your presentation space was built earlier today to show you how it was all going to work. And I'm sad that you didn't get to present there.
It looked pretty cool, and I was definitely excited. Now, does everyone see the black hole that I'm seeing on my screen here?
Yes.
Okay. So that's a bummer too.
Well, we don't see a black hole. We actually, we just had it. We saw just a moment ago your slides. Now we see them again.
Are they full screen?
Now they're full screen. When you click
Excellent.
the allow button, you're good to go.
All right. Hi, everyone. So I kind of struggled with picking one game. When I originally got into the idea of the final project, I was like, oh my god, Minecraft would be great, or this game would be even cooler to put a lesson plan and go with it. And then as I did that, I slowly started to engulf myself in, wow, there's a lot of great games out there. So I did a 180 and I decided to create a website. And I used Google Sites, but eventually I'd like to go forward and actually make it a real website that you can do more with in HTML than a Google template will allow you. So I did Game On lesson plans. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through the concept history. I'm not going to read slide for slide, but some of the larger parts of information I put on there that really struck me during this process. And for this one from Katrin Becker for the Pedagogy in Commercial Video Games, the first sentence is really what encompasses what I wanted to accomplish this. So with effort, it is possible to find examples of computer and video games that embody every single worthwhile learning theory in existence. That's some pretty powerful stuff, and I agree. So I wanted to take that and run with it and kind of create this crowdsourced idea for lesson plans. And I can only come up with so many games off the top of my head that I can attach lesson plans to. So I wanted to connect with other people. So that was really my idea for this, and I think her first sentence really embodies the passion that I kind of have for this project. So essentially, some of the feedback that I started to get when just with my coworkers talking about this final project in the class, came to light, and I read this book, The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, and I remember this in the book, and it talks about the critics of television. And as I was talking about, what I was taking in the class and video games, and you'd get kind of the roll of the eyes and maybe the snickers, and I was like, no, wait guys, it's pretty cool stuff. I thought about what television went through, and I think Malcolm Gladwell really nailed this in his book, because a lot of that seems to be what the I guess say ignorance of video games is. They watch it like zombies, and it's addictive, and we hear that all the time. And this was in reference to like the first concept of television. So I'll go to the next slide, and it did seem cut and dry for the most part that television was a great way to reach masses of people, entertain and dazzle them. But the question was, well, why couldn't we educate them through television? And I promise you, just kind of follow me down the rabbit hole here. I'll try to make sense of it, because I see a lot of this correlation with video games. Yeah, it's a great way to entertain and dazzle them, but I think the major question that we all ask and we've been talking about in this class was, why not educate them? So in comes Joan Gans Cooney. And this is in the late 1960s, and she had a vision for a television program to be aimed for the education medium. I'll pose a question, but I can't see any of your responses, but does anybody know what Joan Gans Cooney essentially developed to fight the challenges of literacy so many children from disadvantaged homes face their first year of schooling? So I kind of gave you the Trivial Pursuit music.
Was it Sesame Street?
That's right. That is correct. So it was Sesame Street, and now if you think about Sesame Street and the power Sesame Street has, I don't think many people would be making fun of television as a medium. So my point is that TV is now a major tool we use in the classroom. You want to show a movie that correlates on history, you use a TV. So I kind of see it facing the similar struggles that gaming in the classroom is now facing, but hopefully in 20 years we'll be saying, oh, could you imagine when we didn't use that medium to educate? And I really hope I'm around to see that, because I can reference this presentation and be like, ha, called it. So one of the parts to getting into this class and kind of meeting everyone who is like-minded was, for a while there, gaming was, my hidden hobby. So I kind of give you the question, oh, Mr. Marconi, what do you do for fun? And I always kind of, slinked back and I was like, oh, all this really adult stuff. So you can say about anything that sounds impressively adult. When the actual answer is, I'm doing about 200 turns in Civilization 5, playing some online FIFA at an overly competitive rate. So that's really who I am. I'm all of the above and the bottom, and I wanted to talk to, fellow people like that, especially when I started to marry my profession and education with my hobby. I think that's a beautiful marriage, and it's not so mainstream now that I could just walk into school and be like, hey, I play video games. I'm still a little embarrassed for some reason, and I don't know why. But coming to this class, I found that there's a lot more like-minded professionals than I originally thought, and it was absolutely awesome. And that's I'm so taken back by everyone in this class, especially that I've come to see that there's a huge community, even if it hasn't made its way to Pennsylvania yet. So I really wanted a way to connect with those people and share beyond Google Plus, beyond Twitter, but to kind of share our ideas and our passion and our hobby. So I always liked Kickstarter. I think Kickstarter is this incredible website and idea to crowdsource entrepreneurial ideas. So I kind of sold this crowdsource idea for crowdsource lesson plans, with the point being to get to know like-minded professionals and have an intelligent conversation about education and pedagogy, and then what they think of The Last of Us or stuff like that. And it has a shared passion. And it could be a great way for endless supply of lesson plans and an endless supply of ideas, and growing our PLNs and our communities. And I really think it's an untapped potential that if we can get enough people to use this, all of a sudden I'm really bored of how I'm teaching economics class. I'm like, I wonder if anybody posted anything on this website that I could use in class. It's a pretty easy turnaround. So Game On lesson plans was born, and the idea was maybe not every student will get what we're trying to create with using a game as a tool, maybe. But if that one student who wouldn't have a light bulb moment any other way does, then I think it's worth it. So the mission statement, if you will, of this idea was to give educators a new tool for a light bulb moment. I know it's not an incredibly new tool, but maybe this could be just something to make it easier for someone who wants to try gaming. So I have some screenshots here. At the end, there's a link to the website itself, but I'll just kind of walk you through the different tabs. This is the Share Your Lesson Plan tab, and what I did is I created these essential questions through a Google Doc, where you could, at the bottom that you can't see down here, you can submit. So you have to fill out all this information, and this information goes into the lesson plan that I created in HTML that goes right into the website. So I would check the Google form, I would get the game title, the lesson plan title, and what the connection was. What will you teach, and what is the active engagement, and then I would put it into the website for everyone to see. So another tab I created was the Game On Spotlight. Essentially, like I said, this website is in its infancy stage, but this is all gaming and education news slowly. So you can see a screenshot here. Classroom games are likely to fail if teachers aren't on board. So just through my Twitter feed and through Facebook and Google+, I just copied and pasted and made links and references to this video game stuff in the news. And it was really good, and there was a lot because the Game Developer Conference just ended as I was doing this, so I got a flood of new news from that community, and it was pretty interesting. So that's just another tab there. Just people can go and think about video games in the news and read about it. Then I went in. The first tab is mobile, tablet, and tabletop games. So you'll be able to see this a little bit better, but you'll see the Settlers of Catan and Fashion Light, and that's kind of the setup. So there's two columns. There's a game. Settlers of Catan is a tabletop game. There's about the game. There's what the game's rated, and then there's a mock lesson plan. All the games and what took the longest on the site right now are mock lesson plans that I kind of just created off the top of my head. They might essentially be for classes that I never taught. One of my favorite ones is we have The Sims in the console game, and we use The Sims for an at-home economics class, or not home economics, consumer science class. So I was pretty proud of that one. I was like, oh, I'd love to teach that home ec class now, because I think we could use The Sims and it would be fun. So you can see in the console games the same setup. So the game summary, what the rating is, and then a sample lesson plan. Lego series movies, the summary, what the game is, and that's kind of a similar setup I went through all the way. This is the lesson plan, and this one is for The Sims, so you can kind of see that it's a basic. There's the title, what the connection is to what you're trying to do. What are you going to teach? And that's kind of a tool for the teacher. What will the active engagement be, and what was the link that you created by using this video game? I thought that was a good way to solidify not just using the video game to use it. I remember in one of our classes somebody said, it's important for us if we want to use video games in the classroom to not just use them to use them, not just be like, hey, let's play Call of Duty and say it's for math, to actually have a structure behind it and a reason. And I couldn't agree with that more. And so here's the PC games, and the PC games tab is a little bit different because there's a lot of simulator games on PC, which the only thing that is, I guess you can say, concerning is we have the digital divide. So what actual role will these games be able to play in the classroom? And I'm just putting them out there as a what if, or if you could type scenario, or even if you give it as homework to those who have the PCs. But I'm not ignorant to the fact that there is a huge digital divide, and socioeconomic status plays a role into what you can do with this technology. But more or less, I want to just get it out there just as the if you could, this might be a great idea. Then there's a tab called Play a Game. It originally started me just adding some Flash games, and you can see these game sites. But I did think about changing that into a forum because, as I said in the beginning, talk gaming to me, I always thought it'd be a great place to just, go and be able to, casually engage in conversation about, video games and education and both. So I'm probably going to change this tab and make it just a forum of different ideas and topics. So I think we're ready for the tour. If you guys click on this link, if you want to do it with me, I'll continue to do the screen share, and I'll kind of just walk you through things. But really, if you click on it yourself, you'll get a better idea. But I'll just kind of go through the skeleton of it. So hopefully I didn't lose anybody. Can everybody see the website?
Can you drop the link again?
Absolutely. So I'm going to drop the link here. And this is for the website. And now can you see as my screen share that I'm on the website?
Yes, we can see your screen share on the website.
Okay, excellent. So this is kind of just page one. We had this awesome YouTube video in the very beginning of class, which seems like ages ago, but this is a great video, well worth watching. And then it's just the welcome. I kind of talk about how we could use the power of gaming and spreading it like a contagion. I use the Katrin Becker quote again there. But let's go to console games. You can kind of get an idea of really the meat of what I wanted to do. So you can see that these are the console games. The console games were Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation. Really any generation. I know we're in the new generation now with the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Wii U. But the good thing about the digital divide is the old PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 2s are really, really cheap at this point in time, and there's still some really, really great games that have educational value out there. So that's, and we'll just go through Little Big Planet on the left-hand side, and you can also see the Lego series, and it's the whole Lego series, the movie series, really allows for good teamwork and stuff. But I just kind of give a summary of the game, and then the lesson plan. So the lesson plan that I came up with for Little Big Planet was counting large numbers and teamwork, and you can see the connection. So today I'm going to teach you about how to count large numbers in a different context. We're going to count magic orbs in the video game Little Big Planet, and Little Big Planet is a really cute platformer that people play with, and it's kind of unique game, but it's very platform-esque. If you play for the platformers in the 3D Game Lab, you'll feel right at home with this. So you can see I made the connection, then what we'll teach, and it could be the basics of the game, it could be a lesson plan before this, what the active engagement is. So for this one, I just pretended I was in a class, and I broke them down into different groups. Group 1 was going to be the timekeepers, which would be good for maybe younger students to keep track of the time and learn how to do that. Group 2 will count to themselves how many orbs they see total on screen, and Group 3 will count how many times the character jumps, just to keep them engaged if they're not the ones physically holding the controller. So I want it to be cognitive of, it'll probably almost be impossible to have, so many PlayStations and so many controllers that everyone can play. So I kind of wanted to break out of the box there. And then we made the link. So you can kind of scroll down and see the other games. So there's the Sims, and again we did the home economics one. So they would play the Sims to understand the work-life family balance and the effects of unemployment on emotions. Because if you're unemployed in The Sims, your person walks around and he's grumpy and he's mad. It'll demonstrate the effects of social pressures and the power of cleanliness. Because if you leave your Sims dirty, they get mad and they talk in their symbols at you. So that would be the connection. And I foresaw this game being played throughout the entire semester or the entire year. To give the Sims the job and maybe show them the work-family balance. So there's the teaching. The active engagement would actually be playing the game, and then the link. Now that we finished this course, what did you notice in our virtual family as they grew up and changed? I thought that would be pretty unique for the Sims. And then other powerful games that students are always playing, sports games, but they could be a really great tool to use for leadership and
he went ahead of me.
And team building. So one of the ways I used to be different in this was sports games.
No. Lost audio, did I?
Sorry, you didn't do that, I did. Jason, we need you to unmute yourself. I apologize.
Is that okay? Was I talking too much?
No, that was entirely my fault.
So is there kind of a place maybe? I'll just.
No, I mean, we're only 10 seconds down.
Okay. Okay. So then I was just showing the power of sports games for maybe a corporate seminar to show leadership and team building. I'm a hockey fan, and FIFA has this where everyone can play on one team versus the computer. So I thought to break up a corporate seminar, you can have them play, and there's new control schemes now where it's just 2 buttons, one passes, one shoots, stuff like that. So that's kind of the theory behind the whole website. Is as more people put in their share a game on the lesson, so more people would fill this out, and I would go through it. Or eventually, if it gets so big I would need help, which would be awesome, I would go through it, and then I would take all of their information and I would put it in a box that was in the HTML just like this. So essentially, you can come here and find a game that would be really unique. Eventually, because the Google site template was kind of restrictive what I could do, I would break it down into subject matter. I would break it down into age range as well. But if for no other reason other than time, this is kind of just the shell I wanted to put out there, and just to kind of show you that we did the PC games, which are really rich in strategy games, and I'll just kind of scroll quick, simulators like the car mechanic simulator for Votech class. I thought would be pretty unique. So that's the website itself. I guess my call to arms is please share your lesson plan on here, and hopefully it gets so big that I can make an actual website and just have it be a great crowdsource for lesson plans. So I'm going to unshare my screen.
Well, that's rude.
Sorry. So here I am. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I was actually very nervous to present more than I think in a room full of students, so I hope I didn't trip over my words or sound foolish, but that's it. That's been my labor of love. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Questions?
Okay. There are a lot of comments, and I will mediate those in just a minute. But I'm going to collectively speak for everyone who saw you present and say, you have to do this. This is so fabulous. There was a website like this a few years ago, and it went down. I don't know if they lost funding or whatever the reason was, but I think what may have happened, and we're talking 6 years ago, that the web web technology outside of, say, a wiki, for example, which very quickly it balloons into this massive thing that you can't even really look in anymore. The sorting becomes really complex unless you're drilling down to something you're looking for specifically. Mm-hmm. I think that the climate now probably enables you to find some tools that will allow you to build a multi-page, user-designed database that is easily searchable. Now, what makes a tool like this really valuable are the subscriptions or the email notifications that you can receive when either a video game, a subject area, an age group, a teaching concept, a subject matter area is added or commented on or adjusted. That +1, I love this. I even use it this way. When you talked about an economics class, I mean, I remember the economics class where we played 5 different varieties of Monopoly with different, economic system rules applied: communism, fascism. I wish I'd paid more attention. Modified, all those. But somebody saying yes, and here's a version that would apply to the Chinese economy right now. So you can kind of subscribe to these things that you use, and you start to crowdsource all of this information. The key, I think, and we've got a lot of folks throwing comments, and I'm going to jump to those in just a second. Not before I throw to our other panelists tonight and say, give us some thoughts, some feedback, tell us what you think. But the ability to see a very short version of it and many of those. So say, for example, you search Civilization 5. Is it a lesson? Is it a unit? Is it a year-long thing? What's the length of this activity? To be able to search elements like that before even opening the lesson plan, do this, this, and this. So if there's a way to tag certain elements and make it easy, right? So what's your hierarchy? What's your classification, system? Game, name, age, family, phylum, order, class, genus, species, right? I think I forgot family in there, but you'll forgive me. The idea that that you can search those, I think, becomes critical. Now, you notice very quickly with a Google site, it blows up, and it becomes, 30 entries in, too small. I mean, too restrictive. When you get 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 game entries, then you have a way of doing that, and being able to socially, as websites do now, promote with the +1s or likes or those types of things, so that ultimately you want it to be easy for people to come in and search and go, oh, I want okay, yes,
right.
I want to try that. How do I do that? Making it free and accessible, that's wonderful. I mean, eventually, I think you can even sell advertisements on it to boost it. But I think the key is finding the tool that will do that for you. And I would be willing to bet you a plate of cookies that someone has already developed an out-of-the-box tool that will allow you to build it out the way you want. I mean, it's not going to be a Squarespace or a Wix or a build a website kind of thing. It's going to be some more professional solution, but I believe it's there. So
right.
I'll get ready to throw some questions in there, and we'll open this to our panelists, who appear to be chomping at the bit. I mean, Dave's smile alone tells me he has something he wants to say.
I always have things to say, Chris. I thought it was a very fantastic presentation. One of the major benefits that I have gained from my experience in this class has been feeding off the insights of people who are more knowledgeable than I am, who have a much richer background in not necessarily game design, but just the culture of gaming in general. And I think that the cohesion of what you've created here, I think the vision of what you've created here is stellar. Something that I can definitely take and use to influence and impact my future game designs as well.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. We'll work. Maybe not take it so much. I'd like to be part of it. If it gets so big.
Take the inspiration.
Thank you.
I think just sign me up. That sounds great. If you're not careful, you might have another full-time job there.
It was true. Yeah, it was very labor intensive. Just the only HTML I've ever worked with was in our EdTech 502 class. So it was really it was cool to bring that into it, but it was a a lot of work, but it was fun work, so it could be something on the side.
One thing I think is great is it sounds like you've got a really rich background with games. Lots of people, I don't, and I'm sure there's lots of other people like me who don't, who can really benefit from this as a starting place. So great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'll add to that the comments from the gallery here, which of course say a lot of the same things. Fabulous, you're wonderful. I want to give you a pot of money. No, that was Bill. Oh no, I'm sorry. He said applause. Great idea.
No.
I thought you were going to make some money here. And it really is a fabulous idea. The question is, what vehicle can you use to take it forward? If you're planning a second master's or a doctorate, which I'm not advocating either one at this point, because I'm sure all of them seem kind of huge. But this is the type of thing where you could develop. You could even describe it as a professional learning community for those oriented toward using games in their educational designs. Aaron mentions Joomla. Lots of templates, components. Yeah, there's some great comments in there. Drupal also works well. It behaves like a wiki. It's got some other pieces. But Jason points out, Aaron points out, there are tools out there that may have plugins that allow you to do exactly what you want. Threaded, tagged posts that may be more organic than just line order Google site links to links and pages. It's very simple, but it sounds like and if anybody's got any other tool suggestions, throw them out here, because that's half the battle. I have no doubt in my mind that you find the right tool and this will explode. You send out an email to 20 of us and say, hey, throw your lesson plans on here, and then you've got 50, and then you throw it out on a professional community, maybe just within the Boise State community, and say, what other gameplay can you help me out? Just throw a couple in here, and then launch it on Twitter. Hey, this put together this database of how people are using video games and different, and boom, you're at 5,000 entries. So you appoint managers and people who are going to vet and make sure that content is there, and all of a sudden you have this massive creation that would be fabulous. And like I said, I think we're all interested in this project.
Well, I definitely want to keep working on it. And will there be a transcript of the presentation in the Google Plus forum? So if there are a bunch of tools in there, I could easily just throw
Yes. This event will have all the comments listed below it still.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I don't want to miss out on like Joomla and stuff, so that's the.
No, that's a good one. And at 8 o'clock at night, you get up the next morning and like, okay, what was that thing? Yeah, and you have issues with it.
All right.
Definitely. Well, I apologize again for the Second Life issue. It appears to be Second Life wide. I'm impressed that I think we had 8 in Second Life for a little while. Most of the time they were just fuzzy apparitions. Their selves didn't fully load in, and we'll have an opportunity to kind of visit those other places. Jeff, I'm really glad that we're going to hold off on you, because when you see the location of your presentation space, you're going to love it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, well, you saw the pictures, I think.
Yeah, it looked really awesome.
It's going to be cool. I was really impressed when I found it. So I had a little bit too much fun this morning, kind of putting together some of these pieces. And I was in for 6 hours, I think, today, in World, trying to solve a couple problems. B knows about some of those teleportation issues, so I won't bore you with it today, but just kind of leave that. So here's what I think we ought to do. We've got other people that could go tonight with our time left. Unless you are adamant about going today, I would suggest we'll push to next week and just and stack a little bit more. As always, I'm just blown away by the thoughtfulness and the creativity. I could never in a million years guess the direction that people are going to go, and it shows the breadth of the teaching that we're doing and the people that we teach and the things that are important to us. But it also often shows new and innovative ways to use some of these concepts that we don't get a chance to do. And sadly, because this is one of the few synchronous experiences in this master's program that and doc for some, that we end up, you know, just kind of relishing these. I always feel like there's never enough. 16 is not enough. 16 of these events are not enough to satisfy my desire to hear what you're doing and see what's going on. So it's really, really cool. Let me check the. Yes, you'll be able to access it immediately following all of it. So if you've had you know, things going on around you and craziness, as it happens to me every time I try to have class from home. And I don't know if you guys have the same situation. It's not too bad when it's asynchronous and you're kind of working on something and then someone comes up to you and asks you to deal with an issue or a problem or take a phone call or something like that. But it's just mind-numbing when you're in a synchronous meeting and that's going on. At least for me. The rule of at my house of, okay, Dad is not really here, you know, come to him only if the house is on fire. I find out if we're out of any condiments, or if someone can't find a shoe, you know, which is the same as an emergency. Exactly. We got some great comments. Steve, you put those in both chats, so thank you very much. Yeah, the Free Tech for Teachers site would totally promote that. And what's there's 300,000, or maybe it's more than that. You would know better than I. Those are great. Okay, so unless I see other stuff come through, I am going to effort on the back end. I was trying to see if I could put those together here quickly. Your evaluations that I was going to have people do, the rubric, basically the people giving you feedback. Sorry, I used two terrible words at the beginning of that, which painted a completely different picture. Not evaluations, not high stakes testing. An opportunity for people to give you feedback in an organized way, and then I'll deliver those to you. If you have not yet indicated how you would like your feedback, and I noticed there are a couple people in the group here, please complete this SurveyMonkey link. It basically says what kind of feedback do you want. Do you want the feedback on this as a, you know, as a commercial game? Do you want feedback on how fun it would be? Do you want, I mean, what do you want people to? There it is in the chat right there. What do you want people to give you feedback on? And then I'll create a custom rubric, basically, for people to give you that feedback. Because we want you to have the information that you want, and not something I've decided. As you can see, you know, the difference between, you know, let's just go first to Dave's game and your game idea here at the end is, I mean, it's dramatic. It's a big difference. I mean, Jason's is a different deal. Shouldn't be measured with the same stick, so to speak. So, okay, I'm gonna shut up, stop talking, and let you guys on your way. I've got some emails from some of you guys that I need to answer. I apologize if I stopped answering emails when we were trying to get this set up. I found myself, you know, one step forward, two steps back as I was trying to communicate with a big group of people and get this launched. But thank you for your patience, and I'm so glad that we were able to make it work. See if there are any projects be submitted. Rachel, yes. So we will get you a presentation time, and if you want to do it, yeah, it was Charles who did it this way tonight. If you would rather present in the form of a polished video, right, whether you're talking over screenshots or however you want to do that, that is completely acceptable too. If you want to do it offline and say, okay, well, everybody give some evaluation to this presentation idea, or let's set up this page and we can have some dialogue around it, or build a voice thread specifically for your project idea where your video is the initial piece, right? And then people can answer your questions relative to that. Rachel, maybe that's the way you would want to do it. If there's anybody who wants to go that route, you're like, oh, I'd much rather do that, then just let me know, and we'll orchestrate that, if that makes any sense. Keep your questions coming. The good news is summer begins in 2 weeks. I think you're all very cool people, and I will end this transmission and talk to you soon.